Hi, my name's Prue, and this is my assistant dog, Disco. Many of us wish we could bring our pets everywhere we go, but for some people, their independence in day-to-day life depends greatly on the support of their furry companions. For some people with disability, assistant animals are a necessity as they provide much needed support and serve many functions, especially when travelling, attending events, or participating in the local community.
Assistance animals, sometimes known as service animals, are trained specifically to support people with varying disabilities to allow them to participate in various aspects of their personal and public life. With the support of an assistance animal, commonly a highly skilled and trained dog, the person with disability gains more independence and, in most cases, the ability to increase access to the community, including tourism.
Much of the public, however, have a limited understanding of what assistant dogs are, why some people with disability need them, and their access rights. For example, many people have heard of guide dogs, but did you know there are other types of assistant animals?
Guide dogs are primarily trained to take directional instructions and find a suitable, safe pathway for their handler. They can also help their handler avoid obstacles and go around them. They can even help to find objects.
Hearing dogs are trained to assist people who are deaf or hard of hearing. Instead of barking, they use visual or touch cues to alert their handler to specific sounds such as phone ringing, an alarm sounding, or a baby crying. Whilst this is mostly within the home, some hearing dogs can assist their handlers out and about, alerting them to specific sounds in public settings and vehicles.
In general, assistance dogs are trained to perform a range of tasks and behaviours for various types of disability, with some dogs continuing to learn tasks as they create a strong bond with their handler. For people living with physical disability, assistance dogs can help them to do things like open doors, pick up dropped items, or push the button at a traffic light.
Assistant dogs can also help people living with non-visible disabilities, including mental health conditions such as post-traumatic stress disorder, autism, diabetes, and epilepsy, to name a few. Assistant dogs can be trained to recognize a stress response and can alert their handler, giving them an opportunity to check in with themselves and work to regulate their emotions with the support of their dog.
This type of help enables people living with PTSD and other conditions to access the community safely and more confidently, particularly when in a crowded or public place. In some situations, assistance dogs can act as a boundary between its handler and people close by, creating space and, in a way, advocating for the person living with a non-visible disability.
Given that these dogs are important parts of their handler's independence, assistant dogs have legislated access rights to go most places that other dogs or animals cannot.
Accredited or certified assistance dogs are legally allowed to enter public places such as restaurants, pubs and cafes, cinemas and theatres, retail stores, hotels, motels and other accommodation places, public transport including taxis, boats, ride shares, trains, trams, buses and aeroplanes, theme parks, museum and galleries, cruises and tours.
Assistant dogs are there to provide access to spaces that their handlers otherwise would not be able to access independently. But a limited understanding of the role of assistant dogs and their rights of the handlers can create barriers for people with disability.
Legislation around assistance animals can differ slightly in each state and territory, so it's important to check the correct information for your location and be aware of the potential large fines that you may incur if you refuse access to a registered assistance animal. Please visit the Queensland Government Department of Disability Services website for further information. People with disability can face barriers due to unlawful refusal of access for their assistance animals. But another big barrier is people interacting with their assistance dog.
When we see a cute, cuddly companion, our first instinct is often to go up and pat them or praise them. It's important though to remember that these dogs are on the job and cannot afford to be distracted, as their handlers are depending on them. If a dog is distracted or gets excited by something when working, this could be dangerous for the handler, especially when out in the community.
Here's some tips on how to behave around an assistance dog. Do not feed, pat, or distract the dog while it's working. Ask the handler if they need any assistance, but be sure to never take a hold of the dog's harness or the handler themselves. Ensure you address the handler and don't just focus your attention on the dog. Make sure other nearby pets are under control and don't become a distraction for the assistance dog. Give way to an oncoming assistance dog and its handler, allowing them to pass by safely.
Just like us, when we're at work, we're expected to behave in a certain way and perform the tasks we've been assigned. Then, at the end of a hard day's work, it's time to go home and relax. It's the same for assistant dogs. When dogs are wearing their harness or coat, they're on the job, and it's important to remember that their handlers are relying on them to perform a very important role.
But when it's time to head home and shake off their uniform, assistance dogs can enjoy the sweet life just as any other pet. They get to relax, play, and snuggle up to their favourite human, their handler. While assistance dogs are working dogs, they also get to enjoy the best parts of life and form a strong, loving bond with their handler and best friend.
Together, let's work to better understand and respect the job of assistant dogs and the role they play in enabling their humans to best access the best of Queensland, allowing everyone to enjoy everything the Sunshine State has to offer.